What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Woodshed, and today I'm going to show you guys how to scout a base like a pro. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, here's a replay we're going to look at from our last war. Now, I am using Hydra with a Yeti Bomb and with a Royal Champion Dive. Now, it's a very weak Yeti Bomb. It's also a pretty weak Royal Champion Dive. Only 7 Invis and the 1 Revive. Also only have 1 Clone and 1 Rage. So, all my spells are predicated towards that completely. So, with this kind of attack, I am making sure I get a ton of value with that Royal Champion Dive. And in this case, it's actually pretty easy. I'm going straight for this Monolith, right? Normally, you use the Royal Champion either for the Monolith or for the Town Hall. In this scenario, with all this stuff down here, when there is a Monolith, there's a couple of multi-archers, there is this multi-geared tower, there's a couple scatter shots. There's so much value that my Royal Champion can provide for me right there. I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, my Royal Champion is going to buck and bust this entire compartment. And even if that's all she gets, I will be more than happy. So as this replay shows out, you know what, I'll explain more of what I want to do as the replay goes on, right? So I'll do a little bit of the Royal Champion charge first. Now you will notice I will try and save and try and min-max as many of my invisibility spells as I can. So I notice at that point that she's in Rage of the Monolith. I don't want the Monolith being the thing to take licks at her freely, right? You'll also notice I do activate my Rocket Spear mainly because I don't want her to be able to walk away, right? So some people save their Rocket Spear. They'll wait till they get close here. Maybe actually even destroy that first thing. Try and stay out of range out of some of these other things. In this scenario with the Invisibility Tower, if I wait, right, what happens is this pox, and then my Royal Champion starts to walk away. She goes to God knows wherever I can. And I don't have enough invisibility spells to kind of guide her throughout the base like I want. So I make sure I hit a Rocket Spear relatively early. You'll notice she takes down the Monolith right here. She's going to go for that multi-archer and tower. I really want to make sure I get that invisibility tower down. I do not want that reprocking because that can cause a huge, huge issue for the army later. Now you'll see what I did here is I actually put down my queen with a giant arrow, and I actually aimed for what were these two spots right here, and those were air sweepers. Now, if I miss the air sweepers, there is still a way I can attack this base very easily. But getting the air sweepers opens up my ability to where I can come from. Right? So I come in on this area, and you guys will notice I line up my air sweepers. You can't see it now because I took an extra second. I thought I had another second to follow the Royal Champion. What happens is I lined it up with this army camp, boom, 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 shot it straight across, as you can see. Takes that all out, right? Same thing, I could have lined it up against that builder hut if I wanted to, but I'd rather come from the left than the right. So, what I'm going to do now that the air sweepers are both gone, you can see they're just nowhere on the map. What we're going to do is we're going to place our army down here. We're going to spread out our dragons, specifically so they don't roam super freely, right? And as we spread the dragons out, they're going to kind of set a very small funnel for themselves. But they'll start working their way in through the base. Same thing, Dragon Riders will start working their way in through here. And the reason I'm picking this side, as opposed to coming from back here or back here, the reason I'm doing that is because when I revive the Royal Champion, she'll actually meet up with that army a little bit. And the army will be... or, even if the army kind of screws off and goes up here, and she still has to stay down here, there's going to be certain things that are still taking shots at my army up there, as opposed to on my Royal Champion. So maybe I can save some invis spells if I need to, or they can just go together and I can actually put a couple of dragons and dragon riders in the invisibility spells, right? So we're doing all that, dropping all the heroes, throwing everything in, and you'll notice I don't put my Blinthen right away. Because I'm actually running the Healing Tome on my Grand Warden, I want to wait a minute. I want there to be damage accrued on my units. So that way I'm not wasting some healing tomes. So you'll notice I don't wait very long, but I do get a little bit of damage on some of my units. I try really hard not to let any of them die. You can see that there is a Dragon Rider or two in there. They get pretty weak. I am going to pre-drop. You can see it right there. I pause at the perfect time, man. I do pre-drop a clone spell, and I actually am probably putting it towards the back corner right over here, maybe, so it has the chance to clone up to there. Nope, I'm going to pop it straight on the middle. I'm going to get all those Yetis go through. They're going to wipe that Town Hall. And the reason I like doing the Yetis in a case like that is it actually is pulling Clan Castle. And so now Ice Golems will be taken care of by Yetis, not by the bulk of my army. My army might take a lick or two at it, but most of those will be taken care of by the Yetis pretty quickly. Now you can see I did revive my Royal Champion, and this is what I was talking about, see? I was getting some of the Dragon Riders coming in with it. You can see they're following my Royal Champion. She's not going alone. Minion Prince, I'm really just looking for him to aim a certain direction so I can get as much value out of his Dark Orb as humanly possible. That's really what I'm looking for when it comes to the Minion Prince for the back half. I almost always wait till I'm over 50%. And what I want to do is I want to slow down as much of the remaining back half of the defenses as humanly possible, so that way I can actually make it an easier transition for the rest of my army to come through in case my army got very weakened by the start. Sometimes sometimes you pick an entry point that is the very strong part, which makes it very hard to get through if you don't time your tonal tone perfectly. And I'm not perfect, so I'm not going to time it perfectly every time. So I'm using the Minion Prince ability to basically make the back half of the base easier. Same principle the other way. If you come in on a weak side, you're going to have a lot more to deal with at the end, and I want to be able to minimize the damage with as much of my army as left as humanly possible. So I always like to save my Minion Prince ability. And you'll see, like I said, I got a couple Dragon Riders. Met up here with my Royal Champion. I still have a Yeti and some Yeti Mites that are running around. Have a handful more Dragon Riders up here, and you can tell this looks like a GG. This is not a particularly hard attack strategy to learn. The Royal Champion dive is the hardest part to it. I did put up a tutorial of it on my channel. It was a couple weeks ago. Feel free to go take a look at that. I'm loving this attack, and you guys can see how much of my base is, or how much of my army is still alive. But I'm going to give you guys at least one more example of how to really deep dive into some of these bases so you guys can really kind of get an understanding of how to look at some of these. Let's go ahead, let's find another example. So, take another look at a base, right? That first one was a very lengthy explanation. I hope you guys enjoy that. We're only going to do one. Maybe I'll do another one of these. This might be the last one, though. I don't know entirely. So, off of what I've told you guys, what are we going to look for here? So, first thing we want to look for is we want to target what's going to be easier to get to, the Monolith or the Town Hall, right? That's going to be rule number one. And it looks like the Monolith is going to definitely be easier to go for. There's a Minion Prince up here. There's a Ricochet Cannon, there's a Multi-Gear Tower, there's a Multi-Archer Tower, which is a lot of value. But with only 7 Invis spells, it doesn't look like I can get there. But right here, there's a Builder Hut, there's a Mortar, and a couple Ricochet Cannons, but then it's Monolith. So, that definitely looks like that's the way I'm going to go. I do need to be cautious of that Barbarian King, though, because the Barbarian King and the Clan Castle can be very, very troublesome for your Royal Champion. So, I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to hit the Royal Champion. I'm going to hit the Rocket Spear in attempts to keep her away from the Barbarian King for as long as possible. As you can notice, did not last very long, right? So it's okay. I'm going to burn through a couple of invisibility spells. It looks like she's going to target the Monolith earlier than I thought. She's not going to have to go through those Ricochet Cannons, which is pretty nice. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to actually invis that so they kind of cover that. And because I don't care about the Ricochet Cannons, because I'm using an air army, I'm going to actually invis that and push her into this compartment up here with the Builder Hut, the Scatter, the Rage, right, the Sweeper. I'm going to go into that compartment. I don't want to go from here and then go down here. I want to try and get into here as soon as possible because the Ricochet Cannon's a non-factor to me. Now keep in mind, if you're a Root Rider attacker, you need to do it the opposite, right? You want to look for these Ricochet Cannons, right? You don't care about the Sweepers. You care about Ricochet Cannons. You still care about Multi-Arch Towers. You still care about the Multi-Gear Towers. But something like this is not something you should do if you're a Root Rider player. Keep that in mind. If you're a ground player, don't do that. But if you're an air player like I am, try and get around these cannons if there's any way possible for you to do. So you see, I actually put an invis on her and that. I'm going to drop one more to kind of get her a little further in there because I don't care that much about that Builder Hut specifically. It's going to die anyway. I'm going to trigger that Rage. I'm actually going to let everything kind of take her on now. And because the Phoenix has procced, right, she's going to do some damage to this stuff around. And I also want her to actually take down some of the Clan Castle troops, which can be a little bit of a hindrance to my main army. I am going to line up again. I'm going to line up another Giant Arrow. This time I'm only really hoping to get one of these Sweepers out of here. there was not a great line for me to get to. If I go one, I can come in from the opposing side. So there was a sweeper right here. There's a sweeper right here. They faced into each other. If I get one of them, whichever one it was, whether it be this one or this one, I can go in the opposite side. So I got this one. My army's going to come in up here, right? It's going to come up here, up in the top, right at that 10, 11 o'clock area, right? Same thing if I'd have gotten this, I'd have come in the opposite. I'd come in at the 1 or 2 o'clock area, right? That is just kind of how I'm processing that. And as you can see, exactly, I'm coming in right on exactly where I was talking about, throwing down all my heroes, going to give it a second. I'm going to send my blimp in, and like I said, I'm going to try and wait a second, see if I can't get as much damage on those as I can. I think I did wait a little too long, and I had a couple dragons die that I probably could have saved there. As you can see, same thing, going to drop the clone, going to drop the rage, going to immediately eat through that, and now at this point, I'm looking at reviving my royal champion. But before I revive her, because I still have so many Yetis there, I actually want to give them a second. Not very long. I only want to give them a second or two. But I want to let them work through a lot of these defenses here so that there's stuff that she won't have to target or that won't target her. And then I dropped the Royal Champion. Scattershot turned back to her. Didn't even get to fire one. So she immediately takes that out. She's going to take out this X-Bow, which, again, is kind of a non-factor. I tried to avoid the ground-only X-Bows, which I am seeing more and more commonly with Root Riders and the Royal Champion dive. So I tried to avoid those. I would have tried to put her on the Fire Spitter if I'd had any more invisibility spells, but she was so close to killing it anyway. It did not matter. And as you guys can see, there's not much left of the base anymore from this point. And this guy even does have actually a furnace in his clan castle, which again is going to end up being more or less a non-factor. We actually even have a booger trying to help my Royal Champion against that disarmor, but that's okay. And yeah, that's even how wild this is. I was even testing out the new pet Sneezy with the Archer Queen, of all things, and I was still doing this. Well, you guys can see I still have a handful of Dragon Riders. I still have a handful of dragons. I got 3 of my heroes. I still got a hero build. I swag my Dark Orb, which is one of the best abilities you can have for an attack like this. So yeah, I think I hope this is making some sense to you guys, and you guys are kind of understanding my thought process. Some of you guys tend to use this attack, but you tend to approach it a little differently. I wanted to give you guys my thoughts. You know what? I'm gonna go try and find you guys one more replay. So let's do that. All right. So we got another base here. I want to give you guys a second, let you guys look at the base, and kind of think about how you guys would approach this with the attack strategy we've been talking about today. If you guys want to, you're more than welcome to put in the comments below how you guys would approach a base like this, and see how it matches up with mine. If you were going to do the same attack strategy I was, some kind of Hydra. Like I said, for Root Rider armies, it'd be a little different, because you're looking for different things, right? So what I'm looking at here is I'm thinking, wow, these two are clumped up. I got some Fire Spitters in there. You guys are probably thinking, wow, that's a fantastic spot for a Yeti Bomb. Traditionally, yes, but with a 1-clone Yeti Bomb, typically the combination of the Town Hall and the Monolith is kind of hard to take on. So what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about, I wonder if I can get my Royal Champion to dive, kill the Town Hall specifically, and seeing if I can't get her to go left or right to meet up with my army. So, how am I going to do that? What am I going to do is I'm going to go over here. Well, I'm going to plop my Royal Champion somewhere around here. I'm going to, she's going to hit that, 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 she's going to hit the Town Hall, and then I want her to work up this way, right? I want her to come up to this section right over here with this, the air defense, right? And then I'm thinking about, okay, well, there's a couple sweepers that are kind of in an awkward position, so I want her to kill that, but not the Monolith. Why would you do that? Well, I want something there to be for my Yetis, and there is enough value between the 2 Fire Spitters and the Monolith for me to want to justify using a Yeti Bomb there. So that's what we're going to do for it. So what we're going to do after we get our Royal Champion charge, and then we'll go ahead and get it started. Again, I try to save the invisibility spell if I can, but normally heroes on the outside like that make it pretty hard for me to be able to kind of pocket one. So what we're going to do here is, and you'll notice I'm actually ignoring that Tesla. I specifically don't want to use a Rocket Spear on Tesla. It does 1-tap a Tesla. Also, just damage from the Electro Boots, because Teslas aren't that high HP. They actually do tend to kill it pretty quickly. So what we're going to do, we're actually going to let her go into this section right here. You notice she is faced slightly towards the right. I'm sitting here hoping that she's closer to this than to this. If she did get the Monolith, it wouldn't be the end of the world. It might not make that big of a difference. But it looks like she is going to go to the right like I thought. So what we're thinking about here is we're thinking about how can I get one of these sweepers out? Now, of course, I'm thinking about this beforehand, right? And the way I'm thinking is like, wow, you know what? This is a really nice lineup. I can just go from this guy right down here, go straight up through here, take out this sweeper. It will probably hit this and that. Maybe if I'm lucky, it'll hit the giant, but I don't think it will. But then it will start one side of a funnel for me. I can dragons over here, dragon riders up here. Army starts to boom, 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 kind of work its way down here, where the royal champion will be dead around this section, and I can blimp right there to take care of most of that. So let's take a look at that. Alright, she dies, so now I'm just trying to figure out where that sweeper lineup is exactly. Boom, just like I wanted to, got that sweeper. I'm going to put most of my dragons up there, dragon riders, warden, minion, prince. I'm going to give it a second, not very long. Going to throw that in there. Notice the multi-inferno tower, I'm actually getting more value from my healing tome this way as well. Which was not intended, but I will gladly take credit for it. And you'll notice I actually tried to put my blimp further back and up, so that way there would be more time before the tome if I could possibly do that. But I also want to come in at an angle where I make sure that I'm actually getting into the guts of what is left of this, what was an annoying core to deal with admittedly. Clone and rage, and I absolutely flatten what is over there. Even though my Yetis start to get distracted by the golems, the ice golems, specifically, it does not matter. The Yeti mites take care of it. And now I'm actually looking at that revive on that Royal Champion. You notice I have so many Dragon Riders with me. This is the perfect time to set that revive, because she'll just follow the Dragon Riders. Now there's just a ground version, a stronger version of it, but it doesn't even matter. With how that first hit was on the space, there was just nothing left that absolutely mattered. I'm actually going to swag an invis spell, doesn't even need it. And I'm just keeping that really just kind of for safekeeping if I really needed it. But as you guys can tell, I really did, and I feel pretty good about that. And you guys might think I might cherry pick a couple of these replays for you guys. With this new attack, this feels like it's almost every day. So I hope that scouting, regardless of what your attack is, at least for my air attackers, I hope this has helped you guys on how to take a look at some bases, pick some things apart. And there's a million different base styles that you guys can do to help either prevent getting 3-starred, or that you guys will run across that are annoying. The 3-star double invis is something that comes to mind, which is a little bit more weaker to the ground side of things, with especially like Fireball. Shout out Sir Clap, who's our guy for doing stuff like that. Even me, though, I still don't really struggle with the double invis. If you guys want to see me scout some more bases, let me know in the comment section below. I'll let you guys know on bases you guys see all the time, or ones that just really stumps you, how you guys should have gone about it if you guys want to. I'll be more than happy to make a series out of this if you want. If not, I'll be more than happy to do this once in a while and kind of give you guys my thoughts on bases and really what you guys should be looking for. Because the difference between me and somebody who else is a 17 of a similar level is how long I've done it and what I'm looking for. I notice a lot of people who have a high level attack strategy like I do. Like, for example, with Jay, who also has a high 3-star rate, but he looks at things a little differently. We're looking for different things. Not saying that his is wrong or mine is right specifically, but I hope that helped you guys. Make sure you drop a comment below. Let me know what other kind of videos you guys want me to see. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you subscribe. It helps the channel. And I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks, everybody. You guys heard me here right now. I'm using the term pro kind of loosely here. Obviously, I'm no professional, but I will show you guys some accolades. As far as it goes, I have played in some open tournaments. I have played for some very, very high-level clans, top 10 in America, top 200s in the world before. I have been over 6,100 trophies. So I do know a thing or two when it comes to how to attack. I'm also responsible basically for every top base in every war I'm ever in. So I'm going to show you guys how to look at bases a certain way, what to really look for based on what you're using to attack, and how you should plan and build your army comp around certain base layouts. And a lot of these are going to be predicated to the current meta, which is a Hydra and or Skybird, depending on who you are. With a mixture of either a Royal Champion dive or a Yeti bomber, maybe some mixture of both. But I'm going to show you guys what I look for. I'm going to show you guys some replays and how the replays unfold, exactly, more or less, how I think they should. So let's go ahead and get into that.